In communities across Ontario, seniors are facing a silent crisis, going to bed hungry, stretching meager portions, and skipping meals just to survive the week.
Retire in Canada is way too expensive.
A recent survey showed that 20% of the population in Toronto shelters are seniors.
Senior citizens in Canada are absolutely being demolished and destroyed right now.
Canada's senior population is growing, and so are the challenges they face. With over 13% living below the low-income line.
What issue matters most to you? I think the shortage of affordable housing, either for seniors or for people that are on low income.
Welcome back to Canadian Rant, and today I need to talk about something that absolutely breaks my heart and infuriates me at the same time. We're talking about our seniors, the people who literally built this country, the generation that worked their entire lives, paid their taxes, raised families, contributed to communities, and were promised a dignified retirement. And you know what they're getting instead? They're struggling to survive. I came across this TikTok video that shows the reality of what seniors are dealing with right now in Canada, and I'm warning you, this is going to make you angry. Because while our government talks about taking care of vulnerable populations, our elderly are choosing between medication and groceries. They're living in poverty after 40, 50 years of contributing to this country. These aren't people who didn't plan. These aren't people who were irresponsible. These are Canadians who played by the rules, who believed in the system, and now that system is failing them when they need it most. Today, we're unveiling the dark truth about retirement in Canada, and trust me, if you're planning to retire someday, you need to see this. Let's watch this video, and then I'm going to break down exactly what's happening and why every Canadian should be worried about this.
Canadians, make this make sense. How is it that our corrupt government is sending billions of dollars overseas to fund gender ideology, gender training, and to fight climate change?
Meanwhile, in Canada, there's no money to fix anything. But retirement age is now 67. Veterans aren't being compensated as they were promised, and food banks are lined up more than ever before.
It's absolute madness. If you're sick of the corruption and programming, give us a follow. We need to fix it or get the fuck out.
Based on cost of living alone, Canada is the 6th most expensive place to retire, tallied by Swedish mortgage site Sambla. The average Canadian would need to sustain $1,100 a month during their retirement, but that doesn't include rent. With the average retirement age of 60 and a life expectancy of 83, Canadians would need to save $300,500 for retirement. Think that's expensive? Switzerland took the top spot for the most expensive place to retire. Residents would need to save $400,700 in their retirement fund. And the cheapest place to retire is South Korea, as residents would need to save $200,900 to retire. Are you planning to retire in Canada? Let us know why or why not in the comments.
In communities across Ontario, seniors are facing a silent crisis, going to bed hungry, stretching meager portions, and skipping meals just to survive the week. At Saidam Food Bank, we believe no senior should feel vulnerable or deprived of essentials. Since 2012, we've delivered thousands of nutritious grocery hampers, tailored to their medical and cultural needs.
You see that more and more in Vancouver and probably other places as well, where there's seniors that are homeless, like people 50 years old and over. That's like, that person looks like they're having difficulty walking. Imagine having to lug all that stuff around.
I've spoken about homelessness quite a bit, but this is something new. A recent survey showed that 20% of the population in Toronto shelters are seniors. I'm Mike Patton, and this is your Ottawa City Hall update. Yeah, you thought you were going to spend your winters in a condo in Florida, wintering in Florida, but no. You know, increasingly we're seeing more and more seniors are ending up on the street. They go into the hospital, they end up there for a period of time, they end up being evicted from their apartment, and they have nowhere to go and end up on the street. This is an enormous problem, and it needs a solution because their requirements are different. These are not people who have addiction issues. These are not people who have mental health issues. These are people who are just old, and this could happen to you. Just saying.
Retire in Canada is way too expensive. Let's be real. Canada is a developed country. Everything's well regulated. And even if you earn less, the government still gives you free healthcare, education, and social benefits. That sounds great, right? But here's the problem. When everyone feels safe, nobody saves. People spend more and the price goes up, and inflation never stops. And that's not all. Taxes here are insane. The top rate is nearly 50%. So if you want to retire comfortably, you're not just fighting high costs, you're fighting high taxes too. And that's why the old save and spending retirement plan doesn't work in Canada anymore. Your money loses value faster than you think. So how do people still seem rich shopping like crazy on weekends while you are grinding 9 to 5? Comes down to two things. Earn smarter and pay less tax. You can't control inflation, but you can control your return and your income structure. If your investment doesn't even hit 8% a year, you are falling behind. And if you don't know how to use RSP, TFSAs, or corporate tax shelters, you're basically giving half of your money to CRA.
Senior citizens in Canada are absolutely being demolished and destroyed right now. This is so sick to see. I just read this report saying that 1 in 7 senior citizens have real food insecurities. The pension that they get from our federal government is not enough to keep up with the cost of living. Just the other day, I was at the grocery store. I seen a senior citizen push a buggy with everything inside that buggy was 30 to 40% off, meaning that product's about to go bad. Right? This is what they're just doing just to survive. I was taking a look at the beef that they had, and I felt so bad, and I couldn't do anything to help them. The beef that they had in their trolley, right, was like brown and should have been thrown out, not discounted at 30 to 40% off. And probably had one more good day of shelf life left. This country has turned their backs on our senior citizens, the people that built this country, and on our vets as well.
Canada's senior population is growing, and so are the challenges they face. With over 13% living below the low-income line and many relying on food banks, the need for support has never been greater. Dom Food Bank is making a difference, providing food assistance and essential services to over 3,600 seniors and individuals with disabilities across Ontario. Together, we can ensure that no one is left behind. Join us in the fight against hunger.
With the election heating up, candidates from all parties are making their case to seniors. We're here to find out what matters most to them.
What issue matters most to you?
I would like more effort put forward to try and eliminate or at least significantly reduce the deaths from drugs. These young people have a future, and they're ending up on the street. And that's a sad, sad situation, and it's not easily addressed.
I think the shortage of affordable housing, either for seniors or for people that are on low income, is a big issue.
There needs to be something in place so that senior citizens in particular, and those who are marginalized in some way, have a safe place to land, rather than having the fear of being evicted and ending up on the street.
I'm upset with the Conservatives saying about not immunizing against COVID. 70% of the population in this units would have been dead without it. So that I can't support. So I'm really undecided at this point.
My biggest fear is that if for some reason my husband and I are separated because of health issues, is to be able to stay close. Not like somebody else that I know living here, and her husband's in White Rock, and she's traveling back and forth every day to go and see him.
These issues are important to seniors, but they should be important to others as well, yes, other voters, because we're all going to become seniors one day.
If we take care of our seniors now, then when we get there, or when you get there, I should say, because I'm already there, there will be a safety net in place for you.
This is important. Canada's homeless population is aging, and it's changing how shelters are run. here's all the info from this online article. And here are a couple quotes from a Canadian homeless person about this struggle. And in major cities in Canada, shelters are seeing an uptick of elderly people, and this is concerning. And here are a couple quotes from a spokesperson from a Canadian shelter about the situation. And over 8,000 people are experiencing homelessness in Toronto, and over 20% of that are over 55. So let me know below, what are your thoughts, and what should Canada do about this?
Good morning, TikTokers. So I'm on my way to work. I'm walking, and this morning I get my pension every month, my CPP. I started getting it when I was 60, and they send me a whopping $405 a month. Wow. Anyway, this morning I checked my account, and it was $365. So 40 bucks out. Didn't say why. I checked the site. No reason, just extra 40 bucks missing. You know, I started paying CPP when I was 18. I'm 62, so I've been paying for 44 years. And they send me 400 bucks now down to 365 at Christmas. That's fucking ridiculous. So, for me, all these government idiots, they treat their seniors like shit. You know, you pay into CPP thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and you don't even get 1% back. It's so stupid. It's ridiculous. So I know some of you government goofs watch TikTok because you're useless for anything else anyway. So listen up. Give us more money. Make it reasonable. How in the hell is a person supposed to survive anywhere in Canada on that kind of money after they retire? It's just stupid. So anyway, just click the like button and follow, because I want these government boneheads to see this, that they're just ridiculously stupid. They treat us like crap. Have a good day.
Here's a sad truth that you need to listen to. I was just at the coffee shop grabbing my coffee for my first break, and the lady behind the counter was talking about how tired she was because she was working 2 jobs and she needed to do that to make ends meet. This poor soul is in her late 60s and she's still working 2 jobs. Why do you need to listen up? Because sadly, that's the state of many North Americans nowadays. They have to work 2 jobs well into their retirement years just to be able to make ends meet. And that's basically have some form of a hot dog and craft dinner kind of a lifestyle. They didn't prepare, or they weren't prepared enough, I should say. Why do I say that? Because with the rate of inflation, and I'll give you an example of that, here in Ontario, here in Canada, groceries pretty much in the last 3 years have gone up about 60-70%. The cost of fuel, about 30-40%. Hydro, heat for your home, they've gone up about 50%. All these things have gone up so fast, so quick, so high, that people can't even imagine preparing for them, even when they're trying to prepare for the retirement. They can't anticipate that kind of, I'll say, retarded inflation. She's in the same boat. And instead of being caught unprepared, instead of being caught with your pants down, do something different. Do something where you can generate an inflation-proof income. Well, when you generate an inflation-proof income, you're also going to be generating a recession-proof income. Instead of getting caught with your pants down, do something now so that way you're not scrambling when you retire just to try and make ends meet.
All right, TikTok, I need your help. I have met with several people over the past few days, and it just really drove home how much Canadians are suffering. They're not just suffering because they're living paycheck to paycheck, but they were doing really good up until about 2014. They had all these savings, they had all these plans for retirement, and then, 2014 happened, things got more expensive, work just disappeared out from underneath of them, And, life happened and they had more expenses, repairs on their house or just surgeries and, illnesses, unexpected things happening, and they didn't have either the coverage or they didn't have they had to dip into their savings, and now there's nothing for retirement. And it just breaks my heart. Like, this all could have been prevented had these people known the steps to protect their money right from the get-go, to have their money work for them, to have it grow significantly and be protected, and use life insurance as an asset, as a tool for retirement. And as much as I want to just, go back in time and change how everything went for them, I can't do that. I can help them build a business. I can help them maybe build their retirement now. But outside of that, I can't turn back the clock. But it really drives home that I need to get in front of the younger kids. I need to get in front of the kids that are just coming out of high school. Maybe they're engaged to be married. Maybe they're starting to have kids. But the people that are in their, early 20s, these are the people that need to start learning these strategies so that they can, build their retirement and be comfortable in their retirement at a civil age, okay? Not when they're 80, not when they're dead. So if you know somebody who's just, starting out on their own, leave me a comment, send me a message, or go to the link in my bio. Let's get connected with them so we can put them on the right path right from the start.
So there it is. Did you see the look in their eyes? That's not just frustration. That's fear. That's the realization that after a lifetime of work, they can't afford to live. Let me break down the harsh reality of senior poverty in Canada, because this is something nobody wants to talk about. Right now, old age security pays a maximum of about $7,707 per year if you're 65 to 74. The Canada Pension Plan average is around $8,500 annually. So we're talking about roughly $16,000 a year for many seniors. $16,000. Now remember that one-bedroom apartment we talked about in other videos? That's $28,000 a year in rent alone in many Canadian cities. You see the problem? The math doesn't work. Our seniors literally cannot afford to exist on what the government provides, and that's after they spent decades paying into this system. You've got seniors skipping meals to afford medication. You've got elderly Canadians working part-time jobs at 75, 80 years old, not because they want to stay active, but because they have no choice. They're living in substandard housing. They're cutting pills in half to make prescriptions last longer. They're turning down the heat in winter to save money. And meanwhile, what's the government doing? They'll announce a small increase to OAS, maybe $50 more a month, and act like they've solved the problem. $50 doesn't help when rent went up $300, when groceries doubled, when utilities skyrocketed. It's insulting. But here's the part that should terrify every younger Canadian watching this. If this is what's happening to seniors now, what do you think retirement is going to look like for us? The system is already broken for the generation that had pensions, that bought homes when they were affordable, that had some security. What happens to millennials and Gen Z who have none of that? We're looking at a future where working until you die isn't a choice, it's a necessity. Where retirement is a luxury only the wealthy can afford. Where the idea of dignity in old age is just a fantasy. And you know what makes me angriest? We have the resources to fix this. Canada is a wealthy nation. We're a G7 country. We have the money. It's a question of priorities. We can find billions for corporate subsidies. We can find money for all sorts of programs. But when it comes to ensuring our elderly don't live in poverty, suddenly the cupboard is bare. These seniors deserve better. They earned better. They held up their end of the bargain and we're failing them. This isn't just sad. It's a moral failure. It's a stain on our country. Subscribe to Canadian Rant if you want more honest conversations about what's really happening in this country. Share this video with someone who needs to understand what retirement actually looks like in Canada today, because the brochures don't tell you this part.